Hey everyone! So for my final e-learning project, I decided to use Lectrio, an online learning management system, to create a hybrid unit for an 8th grade literature class based on a unit plan for The Book Thief by Marcus Zuzek. So I love this management system because it's so simple, easy to use, easy to navigate, and the interface is just very self-explanatory. So for example, here's my news homepage where I can even filter what I want to see. Let's say I'm a student and I want to only look at the assignments. I can modify that myself. The timetable is great for students to be able to self-manage and see what assignments are coming up. Now, since this isn't for a real classroom, but I just put all the assignments on one date, but if I were to use it in a real classroom, obviously I would spread out the assignments. So in the lessons section, I'm just going to show you how I was able to design my lessons in different ways. So the first lesson is introducing tone, and here it's mostly text-based. I give them the directions to read the passages from the lesson content, which is attached here, and students can download it or view it directly online to write directly into the graphic organizer and write their responses in the discussion attached to this lesson. And they also have the tone word bank. So those documents are available for them, and this is all linked to my Google Drive, so I can modify it myself. And let's see. So that was a very text-based introductory lesson. Getting to know Death as a character through his tone is also text-based, and here I can even remind them of basic content that we've been going through in class, and here again are the organizers and resources that they need for this lesson. And in meeting the characters, I did something different. I was able to put in a table for students to discuss the characteristics of the main characters that they've met so far in the book. And they can add that to the discussion in class or before class, depending on how I assign the work. And let me show you the power of words. I was able to put up passages that students would be able to read and discuss with their partners, and at the end of the lesson in class, since this is hybrid, it is in class and at home and on the computer, so at the end of this lesson everyone will share answering this question: what are words able to do, following the theme of the power of words, and they'll be able to use the discussion aspect of that lesson. Here I experimented with making a jigsaw on the learning management system. I wanted to see how I might be able to manage a jigsaw lesson, and I think it would go really well. Here I have the directions, and the students will be split up into groups, into smaller groups, assigned to a specific event from the Holocaust. Auschwitz, Kristallnacht, gassing operations, and death marches are the four topics and articles that they'll read in their group, and they'll have a graphic organizer while they read, and then they will go straight into the discussions tab and find their group. So let's say if I'm a student, I'm in the death march, I was reading the death marches article, I would find the 3 main points, the significance of the event and why it's important, and connect it to the book thief. And each group member would contribute to this discussion, and at the end of finishing their individual group's discussion, they would be able to explore the 3 other groups and to see what they came up with in terms of the significance and connections to the book thief. And this way every student is being exposed to the main points of all 4 articles, following the spirit of a jigsaw. And so I also was able to do something special with the lesson content by bringing in an image. Since in this lesson they're going to apply Maslow's hierarchy of needs to analyze character motivation, I was able to upload the actual the diagram for them to refer to and to comment on with each character that they are analyzing. And of course, here is the supplemental resource. And those are the lessons that I'm able to do in and out of class. And here are the assignments. Some ways I was able to use the assignments features to do exit slips. This is a great way to assess students' understanding and how they met the objective at the end of a lesson. So this goes with getting to know depth, a former lesson that I talked to you about in this tab. And at the end of the lesson, I would refer them to the assignments tab, where each student needs to fill out an exit slip to submit to me. And it's doing the same thing that we did in class of reading the quote and figuring out the tone of the quote using the tone word bank. And so that's one way to assess using the assignments. And another way is doing reading checks. If I assign reading for homework, I want to make sure that they read and understood, and just to keep them accountable to their reading. So here it's very simple. They'll be answering 2 questions and submitting it to me so that I can see who's really reading deeply into the text and who's not. And that I have several reading checks. And this is another way that assignments can be used. This is when students are learning about the Hitler Youth and Jesse Owens. And they would click on this link here that leads them to another page about the Hitler Youth. They would read it and watch this video to be able to fill in the blanks of what was happening at the time in terms of Hitler Youth and who Jesse Owens is. And this gives them some background information. And this I would want them to have before coming in class so that they have some background info when we're talking about the characters in the book. And discussions. This is my favorite part of this learning management system because it really allows for safe interactivity. Since in this course I can enroll my students, or I can even link to other classes and other students, we'd be able to have a small or large dynamic discussion around the book. So I started off with the pre-reading survey. And this is before we ever read the book. The students would be contributing to this discussion and really talking about these 5 statements, how strongly they agree or disagree. And this is a fun little activity before the book because it touches on some major themes that we'll be exploring. And students get to see what other people say. Zuzak's Best Descriptions is a discussion about the literary devices and the descriptions that Zuzak uses. He's an amazing writer, and this is a great forum for students to be able to share some of his best writing and with each other, and to be able to celebrate that. And they'll still be following MLA format and labeling literary devices as they should be and as they would in class. And this is another discussion based on theme connections. This is a project, or this is something that we do throughout the year, connecting the novel to other books, movies, songs, and personal experiences using the 20 themes that we explore at the beginning of the year. And so many of these discussions are text-based, which is fine because it's based on a text. These are all like discussion topics. So for example, here students will share moments that are heartbreakingly beautiful, moments that are tragically brutal, and this is a group discussion that I plan to use as a do now. So when students come in, they can work in groups of 3 to 4 students and discuss these following questions before we begin a lesson. So you can see how I can use a discussion even at the beginning of a class. And here are the 4 discussions for my jigsaw. This is a critical thinking question discussion where students will pose critical thinking questions to each other so that they can practice being able to ask good questions of the text, analyzing, evaluating, and synthesizing information. And it also prepares them to think about significant passages for their final summative assessment, which is going to be discussion based. So each student will be responsible for fully analyzing 12 significant passages. Those 12 analyses will be submitted to me, but in this forum, students will choose 1 to initiate a discussion with their classmates and respond to 3 other classmates. And I really do enjoy using Lectrio, or I'm glad that I was able to explore it because it has so many options for bringing literature, not even just in the classroom, but taking it online and engaging a wider audience. So here are these discussions. I can choose to have them only within my students, or for example in small groups, or if I wanted, I can expand certain topics to include a wider audience if I linked up with other language arts teachers in the building that otherwise we wouldn't be able to meet and be able to discuss the same text. And again, as I said, Lectrio is a very safe space for students to be able to interact. And it helps me to continue ongoing assessments of how they are understanding and engaging with the text. And even in my lessons, the way that I can present the content of the lessons is much easier since it links directly to my Google Drive. I can put in pictures, I can put in videos, I can put in links. It's very handy for me to present the content to students. So yes, this is my project and I'm very excited about Lectrio.